Hello, and welcome everyone to the non-negotiable book tour. This is session number 2, and we're going to be talking about men and self-care tonight. This is Dion Brown, licensed therapist here in the DMV, founder of DJB Therapeutic Solutions LLC, and author of best-selling book Non-Negotiable Self-Care. Tonight, I'm excited because we have two great men who are going to be joining us as we discuss the important subject of men and self-care. But before we jump into that, let's just mention for everyone listening, either in person or who will be viewing later, what self-care is generally. Self-care by nature is the practice of taking action to preserve or improve your own health. It is the practice of taking an active role in protecting your own mental and emotional well-being. Self-care means the practice of doing anything deliberately to safeguard and guard and protect yourself. So what's going to happen is every other Thursday until the end of May, we're going to be talking about various aspects of self-care, particularly things that I outline in my best-selling book that is on Amazon about self-care. Anyone that is looking or listening in real time on Facebook as well as YouTube, you will have the opportunity to ask questions and post comments, and I'll mention this again a little bit later. So, again, welcome to our virtual book tour as we continue this journey. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of our two guests tonight, and then I'll bring him on. I first want to introduce Dr. Rodell Hall. Dr. Rodell Hall is a husband, father, grandfather, godfather, educator, encourager, motivator, preacher, teacher, and counselor. He's a graduate of Philadelphia Bible College, earning a doctorate degree in theology. He's the leader of the men's ministry, Church of the Redeemed of the Lord here in Baltimore, a board member of the We Our Us Men engagement since June of 2018. He has been recently hired as the job coordinator for the mayor's office, and his heart's desire is to see men forgiven, renewed, and rebuilt. There's a plethora of other things that I could say, but I'm just going to bring him on, and maybe we can give him an opportunity to see if he wants to add anything. Dr. Hall, welcome.
Hey, that's the D. How are you, sir?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Awesome.
I just wanted to thank you for coming and agreeing to be a part of this dialogue and discussion tonight. Is there anything else that I missed or that you feel is relevant that you want to share with our viewing and listening audience tonight?
Well, I'm also the director of the We Our Us Life Coach program over at the Oliver Rec Center in Baltimore. And it's been amazing to see young men that come in one way, and we've only had them for a little over 7 months, and to see them now walking in a respectable way, talking in a respectable way. Parents, their moms and their teachers are seeing a difference. So, that's where my passion is now, is the young men, to get them to the place that they can be productive citizens. Yes.
Okay, absolutely. So again, we just want to thank you for joining us and participating tonight. We're looking forward to the discussion. Now, I'm going to introduce our next participant tonight who is going to be sharing as well. And that is none other than Mr. Clifton Bright. Mr. Clifton Bright, he's a licensed clinical professional counselor, a mentor, a life coach, and a consultant and an author. He has a passion for helping men and strengthening men to come to a knowledge of their own passion, of their own identity. He is also the owner of Bright House Consulting, and he has been married for 17 years. Mr. Bright has a very strong uh, unction and passion for helping men really identify their destiny and their purpose, and just developing the whole man. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Clifton Bright. Hello, sir.
How you doing, Dion? Good to see you. How you doing, Dr. Hall?
How you doing, sir?
I'm well. Glad to be here tonight. It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you both for joining us. I'm sure as we discuss men and self-care, there's a plethora of things that you both have to share and add to the discussion and dialogue. So what's going to happen tonight? This is just going to be a discussion and dialogue, and as people log in real time, as we get comments, etc., we'll mention those and share those as well. So, are we ready?
We're ready.
All right, let's dive in. So, when we think about the phrase self-care, this is a very trendy subject. Even before I wrote a book about it, the term self-care. As a man, and we'll go specifically or more so in a little bit, but what comes to your mind first when you hear the phrase self-care? What comes to your mind?
Well, when I first saw it, if I hadn't read your book, my first thought was health.
What type of health?
Physical health.
Okay. So self-care is part of self-care, at least, is physical health. Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people go to initially first when they hear the word self-care.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Bright?
Yeah. When I hear self-care, I hear things that you do for yourself to make sure you're functioning at your highest level.
Gotcha.
It's really making sure you're doing things intentionally to get your needs met, also to set boundaries. Now, the boundary thing really came into play with self-care because of clients I work with. Because the same thing, I don't want to jump too far, but women talk about self-care quite a bit.
They do. No, it's fine. And we can go off script a bit. Women, it's a good point. Women do talk about self-care quite a bit. And maybe it's a lot lower for men. Any thoughts why that may be from either of you? Any thoughts about why that may be lower? Why the concept of self-care might be lower for men as far as men discussing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, for us men, self-care might not sound like the most masculine thing. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean self-care? Because this is the concept I used to have about self-care: getting manicures, getting massages. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Getting facials, which are all good aspects of physical self-care. And as men, we should be more open to that. Like, my wife took me for my first pedicure, and I was sitting across from her talking about, man, I don't see nothing comfortable about this.
Right.
It's probably because my feet were jacked up. You know what I mean? Because I had never been in there.
Yeah.
Worked that young lady tired that day. But
sure.
It's I would say now in these times we're becoming more open to experiencing those types of things and not feeling like it's a hit to our masculinity.
Absolutely.
Good.
So the question comes into play: do we think men need self-care? And if so, or not, why or why not? Do we think men need self-care? And if so, why or why not?
I'll let you go, Brother Cliff, first.
All right. I think we definitely need it. I think too many of us pour from an empty cup. So, I always go back to the airplane analogy. When the planes get ready to take off and the airline personnel come and they tell you what we're going to do in an emergency. If we lose pressure in the cabin, the oxygen masks are going to drop down. We ask that you put yours on first, because if you're getting oxygen to yourself, then you're able to help those that are with you or others that are around you.
Absolutely.
But how often do we take care of everybody else, and what little we have left or none we give to ourselves, especially if you're in service professions or you're in ministry and things of that nature, or sometimes even being a husband and a father. Yep. Like for me, my definition of my purpose used to be, I'm just going to serve everybody.
Got you.
So I used to say, man, getting my needs met or making sure everybody connected to me is good.
Okay.
But
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but I've had to learn that that's not really self-care.
Right.
Okay. And one of my brothers, Mr. Donald Butler, he said he needs a facial now. Yes, he said yes, we need it. So true, we do. As men, we do need self-care, especially. And I mentioned this to one of my clients recently. As men, we do need self-care. As men, as brothers, as husbands, fathers, all of it. We need self-care. We need to be able to to take care of ourselves.
Right.
So that we can appropriately take care of other people. So vitally important. When we talk about self-care and men engaging in self-care, what do you guys think are some of the and I made a post about this recently. What do you think are some of the top ways that men can potentially engage in self-care? What do you think are some of the top ways that men can potentially engage in self-care?
You want to start it off, Dr. Hall?
Or what ways do either of you really engage in self-care for yourself?
Okay. Well, I'll go. I definitely, one of the ways I engage in self-care is working out.
Okay.
Yeah, working out. So I lift weights probably about 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
If my wife ain't say nothing to me, I go every day. But thank God she does, because you need to rest. But that's my place where I go at like 4:35 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I use that to kind of set myself after I prayed and read a little bit. Then I'll head out to the gym, and I use that to set my day, to unpack some things. You sometimes hear people talk about the gym as their therapy, but in actuality, it's not therapy. It's something that's therapeutic.
I like that. Therapeutic, not
therapeutic. Something that's therapeutic. There are things that are therapeutic that aren't therapy.
Yep.
Like I can't go work out. Going to work out will never get to the root of any of my issues, but I don't want to go off topic. It'll release endorphins and dopamine, and serotonin levels will rise, but it won't help me work through any roots of what's going on with me.
Right.
True. So thank you. That was very true. I think working out is a very important and effective way for men to engage in self-care. I went to my post that I made. There's a lot of comments. One of the brothers said solo trips, solo outings, and learning self-grooming techniques. Yeah, learning self-grooming techniques. In the book, I believe in the chapter, there's one of the tips and tools I put in there for men and self-care. Even though right now, and I'm my barber was out of town for a week because he decided to go to Puerto Rico and without my permission. And as a result, I'm not as groomed as I usually am because he really makes my beard a lot more neater, but I'm seeing him tomorrow. But grooming is, I just had to throw that qualifier in, but you want to watch this video. Grooming is a very good approach for men in grooming, hygiene. I think Dr. Hall, I think I saw on social media, you guys have did something or doing something soon with the young men around grooming. So grooming is a excellent way to engage in good, healthy self-care. Yeah, it's a very good way to engage in self-care. And there is a relationship actually between a man being well-groomed and his self-confidence and self-esteem being higher.
Yeah.
Grooming can also mean what the clothes that people decide to put on and how comfortable they feel about what they have on their bodies as well.
That's right.
Yeah. So those are definitely some great ways that men can engage in good self-care. Some other responses from people was being able to acknowledge your wins and being able to grow. And anyone, again, and I'll say this periodically, anyone tuned in or listening and you want to chime in, you feel free to leave a comment or a question. Men dedicating time solely for them on a daily basis. and healthy friendships and supports, very important.
That's very important.
Someone put a relationship with the God of their understanding, quite important. Um, a lady put, which we talked about a little while ago, massages, facials, mani, pedis, and sauna. I will own it and say I do all of those, and I'm very comfortable in doing all of those. Actually, I'm in need of a massage soon. Yeah, so good stuff. Definitely good stuff. And again, those are some ways. Did anybody else want to add any other, or anybody tuned in or listening want to add any other ways in the comment box where that men can engage in their own self-care? Either something you do yourself, or something you read from my book, or something you would like to do as far as men and self-care. We have a few people tuned in from Facebook as well as YouTube. So men and self-care is vitally important.
Well, Dion, for me,
Yep.
being a retired mailman, walking 14 miles a day, to go into a complete stop, I had to get back into walking, and it actually gave me a chance to just to be able to reflect on the day, reflect on.
It was giving you an opportunity. The walking was giving you an opportunity to be able to have some the walking was able to some reflection
Yeah,
time.
yes, and it did a lot for me. Even those days when days aren't going well, and you just get a chance, it's just you and God walking, and just being able to talk to yourself, as we talked about, looking in the mirror and being able to encourage yourself and all that stuff. That walk is really therapeutic, where there's nothing else in your ear, it's just you and God and your consciousness, you know.
Absolutely. And we got another comment that came in. Said eating healthy is self-care.
Yeah, that's good.
That is good. And I think
Without having to make a phone. Yeah.
that is a challenge for a lot of people. Even eating healthy as is self-care as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of those elements are very important. Let's talk about and discuss some traditional roles and values concerning men. A lot of men, like many of us, grow up with certain thoughts about being a man, being manly, our roles, posture, position, etc. And that's fine and that's okay, and that's one side of that. But we also have a lot of what I like to what I've called in my book, in the chapter. I think looking at the men's chapter, I talk about some aspects of uh, toxic masculinity and toxic masculinity messages. For example, one common one we know that we've all heard is that men don't cry, which when you know better,
Right.
you do better, right? When you know better, you do better.
Right.
We all know from our life histories and journeys that makes no sense, right?
Exactly.
All understand that it is healthy and natural and normal for a grown man. Heck, you go into a significant enough praise and worship setting in a Christ-filled sanctuary that can evoke tears.
That's right.
So we know that men cry. But let's discuss toxic masculinity messages and how they can get in the way of men's self-care. How that type of message, or any type of what you would consider toxic or unhealthy or dangerous messages, maybe received from the culture, from the society, that can get in the way of men's self-care. So, what do you think?
I guess I would say they're wearing a mask around everybody.
Oh,
Uh, you know, um, you know, I,
uh-oh.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy that deal with real men. And so there's no reason to cover up, because the quicker you address what you're dealing with, the pain is gone. But as long
Mhm.
as you wear that mask and pretend in front of the status quo, that same pain that you had in 2000 is still going to be with you in 2022. And it could hurt you. internally. It could hurt you. So it's best to just be you and don't be a pretender. In so many ways, pretending, you'll lose in so many ways that you thought you were winning. A lot of wasted time, and finding out that friends that you thought were walking with you really weren't walking with you, because you put up this facade that you're this guy, and when your wallet says that you're not, and you bought this car when your wallet said that you're not, and then you pretend that it's okay when you got that note to pay and you don't have the money, but we're trying to impress instead of impressing ourselves. That's the whole thing. It's all about us, and not before we can help anybody else, we got to help ourselves first.
Yeah.
Is thank you. That was awesome. Really. I'm gonna throw an offshoot question about that. So why a reason or reasons that we, because I've been guilty too, that we as men wear. Why do we wear masks? I'm not. I was looking for the physical one that we have to wear now, but why do we wear masks in general? What are you guys' thoughts? Why do we wear masks, men particularly?
Right. Well, first and foremost, the only reason you wear a mask is because you think what's under that mask is not going to be accepted. Right? You know what I mean? So think about it. In a lot of spaces, we try to become something we're not in order to be accepted and not be rejected. Because, we want to, we're wired for connection.
That's right.
We're wired for community. That's what was so damaging about the pandemic and the lockdown.
Yes.
Is that we were stripped of these spaces to be in community.
Right.
And depending on how you grew up and the messages you got, and if you talk about things like having secure attachments or not, a lot of times we don't feel safe enough to go out without a mask. Just like like you were saying, Dion, we're wearing these masks to, if we have the virus, to help others not contract it from us.
Yeah.
As a form of protection. A lot of us wear these masks for protection. And it's hard to tell if a man has never had a safe space to be himself, to be free from judgment, to be free from ridicule or rejection, or to even be free from actually showing you myself and you not judging me or using it against me. It's very hard to tell that man to take that mask off, because that may have caused them to survive in certain spaces. You know what I mean? That kept him alive. That allowed him to acquire some things. That allowed him to navigate his world. It's very hard to tell that man to take that mask off and to say, hey, man, show your real self. Show my real self. Man, I can't show my real self. If I show my real self, everything that I have, or I think I have, that has built this world view that I have of myself and where I fit in it, it'll all fall to pieces if I show them the real me.
Absolutely.
So, we wear these masks because a basic human need is to be accepted. We want to be accepted. We want to be heard. We want to feel like we belong to something.
Yeah.
And if I got to put a mask on to get that, you know what I mean?
True.
It's like we couldn't go into certain establishments without having your mask on, even though you may not have agreed with it. Sometimes men put those masks on so I can go into these spaces with other men. And that fear of rejection may be greater to them than authenticity.
Wow. And this comment came in, Lamar Graves, as far as men wearing masks, he said to protect our vulnerability and the image that has been built.
That's it.
Wow.
So I would ask the question there, if I could, the image that you have built, is it genuine? Remember we talked about the putting up the facade because we want somebody else bought that Lamborghini, and I'm going to get that Lamborghini too because I walk with those guys. So all of them have motorcycles, so I'm going to get a motorcycle too. And so I've learned that you have to. There is a specific people that you're connected to that you can be vulnerable in front of, because as the brothers that I walk with every day, we hold each other accountable, and that accountability comes from being true, and it's the quicker you can get to that place of a friendship, a brotherhood, that you have a brother that you can really just be transparent in front of, because we know none of us are perfect,
Right.
but there's a person that's in your circle, that you should be able to be totally transparent with, so that you don't have to carry that weight. Because if that vulnerability is because you're afraid what's going to happen if you release it in front of everybody, then you're walking with the wrong people. I can go to Pastor Dion at any time and just be totally transparent without any judgment from him, and know that he's going to pour back into me what I need. And without, if it's like, if we're doing something wrong, we already know that, but you need that brother or that person that will be able to tell you, hey bro, that's the wrong road you're going down. I've already been down that road. And so the only way they can know that we're going down that road is that we
So to follow up on that comment, because the only image we were created to walk in was the image of God.
and weight that you've been carrying, and so there has to be a place where you can release that,
Okay.
and be able to take that mask off. So
the only image we were created to walk in was the image of God that he made us in. We're supposed to be walking in identity. Image constantly shifts and transforms based upon either preferences, false expectations, or societal pressure. That is good.
Yes,
that
sir.
is the image. Yeah, that's good. That's the image. So is it safe to say that a portion of self-care potentially for men is our ability as men to reveal, hey, I'm not okay.
That's right.
Hey, I'm having a battle here. I'm having a struggle. For men to have safe spaces and safe spaces in their social networks, in their friend groups, as for men to have safe spaces, for us to create safe spaces for men everywhere where there's groups of men, and bonding, for us to have safe spaces for men in our in our churches, in our religious institutions, without fear, maybe that what they say and what they share, they're going to be judged. We got another comment. Brother Donald said, typically we're not transparent immediately. That's good. Very true.
Yeah,
It has to, good. Thank you. Good. It has to feel, there we go, right? It has to feel
right.
for men, especially for men, like a safe environment to be transparent. That is so true. My God. For example, my male clients were hesitant to share about their financial challenges until they knew it was a safe space to share their situation.
That's good.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, because if you think about it, real quick, Dion, because if you think about it, how many of us tie our masculinity to our financial status?
Right.
So if I don't think this is a safe space when I'm meeting with Donald, and I'm going to share with him what I'm dealing with financially, he may question what type of man I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now I'm coming in looking like half a man to him because I've shared this with him. And that's really what safe spaces are, if you think about it. Right. A safe space, because we throw that term around a lot. Yeah. Get yourself a safe space. Get yourself a safe space. This and this. A safe space is a place where I can be authentic and really lay down that truth, and not have this fear of judgment, not have this fear of you tearing me down. You actually hearing me.
Yeah.
Well, I can say something that may rub you a certain way, but I can still release it in that space.
That's right.
I just started a manhood support group that I do at my practice every other Wednesday. And I kept it small on purpose. So men would feel more comfortable being authentic and transparent. And man, when I tell you the power, we've only done 2 sessions, but the power that's been released in that space. And the one theme you hear from every man in there is, I don't have this type of space.
Wow.
You know what I mean? All of them successful.
Yeah.
A lot of them have families. You know, a lot of them are married. Have areas where they're really doing well, outstanding pillars in the community, and really don't have that space. So if I don't have a space to unpack, then I'm internalizing all that.
Right.
Thanks.
You know?
Wow. That's I mean, these comments are pouring in, so let me share. Geez, they're loving, you know. Martinez said, come on, brother Clifton. Awesome. JJ McQueen said, guarding your heart is important. Trust is earned. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see. Thank you. You said he loved the book. Yes, I appreciate that. For everybody tuning in, definitely, if you do not have my book as of yet, Non-Negotiable Self-Care, you can get it from Amazon as well. Thank you, sir. As well as from my website here. Thank you very much. Thank you both very much. There's a particular chapter regarding men. So you can get it from Amazon as well as from this site right here. Let me get back to some more comments here. Okay, good. Yep. Martinez Seller said again, he's another therapist friend. Love that we have to define and demonstrate exactly what a safe space is. True. Donald Butler said we want validation and real answers. You know, within the safe space, you talk about real stuff. You want real answers. And there's one other comment I'll go back to, but everyone is saying the same thing. You know, the need for safe space, the need for men in our communities, in our churches, in our men's fellowships, heck, on the basketball court, right? At the barbershop, the need to feel safe, you know, safe space. Elder Judah Patterson, men have to have a safe haven to share. Very important. I don't think we've ever gotten this many comments so fast, but this is good. This is very good. Good stuff. And Lamar Graves chimed in earlier with something we said before too. He said, listen, he said, me personally, I just got into one consistent aspect of self-care as it relates to relaxation and physical grooming. I used to have a strong hesitation and think it was extremely feminine for me to get manicures, pedicures, massages. I now know that is not the case. He added to it to better explain my above statement. It was based on what society has defined manhood to be and how men can be viewed as weak or soft if he appears to want to unwind and be vulnerable to even a peaceful atmosphere. I can preach on that. I'm gonna let y'all chime in.
That's good.
Y'all the guests. Any thoughts about what he just shared? Thank you, Lamar Graves, for sharing that. Anybody want to chime into what he said?
That's good. Look, Lamar been dropping fire.
Yes, he has.
He been dropping fire. Now that comment he said, because I wanted to say something when you read it, when he talked about identity and image.
Yeah.
What popped up in me is identity doesn't shift, image does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Identity doesn't shift, image does. So the image or the picture of what manicures and pedicures and massages were, you know what I mean? The image of it, the picture of it shifted. His identity didn't shift though. He's a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that picture of what manhood is shifted. So identity shouldn't shift. And here's the thing, even if I don't walk in that identity, it still doesn't shift that identity. It just shifts my ability to have that manifesting in areas of my life.
Like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
he liked that. He said,
look, if you ain't never had Himalayan salt massage, you won't call it feminine after you have one of those, boy.
Say it again.
Transform my life, gentlemen.
I've never had one of those actually.
Yeah, there's a place, I'm gonna plug them too. There's a place in Bel Air, Maryland called Saltworks. It's hard to get an appointment in there.
Where's my pen?
It's called Saltworks. Look, I went and looked for an appointment a month ago. I don't have my appointment till next month in the middle of the month.
Okay. Bel-Air.
But man, it's called a Himalayan salt massage.
I've never had one of those. Thank you.
It comes in 60 to 90-minute variations.
Okay. Listen.
Now you talk about coming out floating. So, look, I can't look. It's time for me to get another pedicure, but I don't know how strong I can endorse pedicures because that thing hurt to me. But like I said, it might have been the state of where I was, as far as my foot care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
I opened the door for my sons. We all went one Saturday afternoon, and all of us went and got pedicures.
Nice.
And man, it was weird in the beginning because they was looking to be like, Dad, what is going on? And but by the time it was over, and as I walked out as a man, and they did too, they understood that the only opinion is yours.
Right.
When you feel better and you look better, and it seems.
So self-care is grooming too. We talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Self-care is grooming. So it's okay for men to have manicures, pedicures, massages, etc. And I'm going to put
really
a plug
the only
in.
One that matters after a matter of time. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna put a plug in. In Baltimore City in the Rotunda, there's a great place called Manu Lux. Manu Lux. Let me put that in the chat box for people. Manu, if I'm spelling it right. And they do. I just spelled it wrong. Manu Lux. Yeah, they do manicures and pedicures. And you're right. You being secure in yourself, because those are aspects of self-care as well, and grooming. So let me move on because there's a few things I want to get to. Let's see. Within the first section of the book, my book, Non-Negotiable Self-Care, in the men's chapter, make sure you get a copy. If you don't have one, it's on Amazon, and you can get it from my website as well. I'll share later. Within the first chapter, we discuss the concept of the Superman syndrome. Now, for those that know me, you know that I am heavy into superheroes. So, of course, in my first best-selling book, I had to put something in here about the Superman syndrome. So let me mention something about this, because this ties into the toxic messages and false narratives. I'm gonna read straight from the book. Toxic messages about masculinity, emotions, grind culture, and of course, the Superman syndrome. The Superman syndrome suggests the notion that men have to always have things together. Did somebody put "Go Batman"? The devil is a lie. That men have to always operate at the highest level at all times and never have a moment of reflection, weakness, or vulnerability. The opposite of this is certainly the case. I share with men that it's natural, normal, and healthy not to have to be Superman 24/7. This is critical to the actual self-care of men and their continued vitality. It is vital that men engage in diligent self-care as leaders in their household, community, religious communities, and businesses. So, men and self-care. So, do I have to be Superman all the time, or can I go back and be Clark Kent sometimes? Can I just be nerdy and clumsy and weak? Oh, I feel like I could preach that. What do you guys think? I got me started tonight. Okay, what do you guys think? Do I have to be Superman 24/7 as a man?
No, you don't have to be. But how many of us have that liberty to not be? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Depending on the environment you're in, the space you're in, and what you know.
Yeah.
If that's your narrative, if you go back to the mask thing, because I used to be big on wearing masks. So, for instance, in a moment of transparency for me, because I love being transparent, a couple of years ago, I was in a spot where I was struggling in life, and my wife made a comment to me because I'm big on telling people every good therapist should go see a great therapist, his doggone self or herself.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I go to therapy my doggone self. So I do it for a profession, for a career, for a calling, but I also engage in it personally. And at the time, I wasn't seeing a therapist, and I was really struggling, but I tried my best to hide it. And my wife made a statement to me that it was strange because I've never seen you look in a position where you looked vulnerable ever. We've been married over 17 years. Wow. So to see that,
wow, it's powerful.
And my therapist had brought up and told me that's shouldn't be the narrative if we look at it, because that does make you seem like you're Superman, but you're really not. So when do you get to say you're tired? When do you get to say, I need a break? When do you get to say, I don't know, or I don't have the ability to do this? Like a big part of self-care to me is even having the ability to say no when everything in you is telling you to say no.
That's right.
If you're tired into people pleasing, you're not saying no, because your yes is tied to your value. It's tied to people loving you, and it's tied to you expressing love. So you're not saying no to nobody. It'd be like everything in you will be screaming no. Holy Spirit say, nah, say no. Don't do that. Yeah. And if you do say no, you're up 2 nights in a row from guilt. Right. You know what I mean? Talking about I have sinned. Yeah. So it's, to me, saying no is a form of self-care.
Absolutely.
Because
and no is a complete sentence.
It
doesn't necessarily need an explanation sometimes, right?
Yeah. So for a lot of us, our narrative is I have to be Superman, because if I'm not, then what else am I going to be? We may have seen Superman, right, growing up, or if we didn't have a male model, whoever we gravitated towards may have seemed like Superman. Right. Or if I tried to figure it out on my own, I may adopt that I have to be Superman.
Fact.
So in a lot of spaces, we buy into that because we don't know anything else, or we're frankly, we're probably scared to try to be anything else. Yeah. Like, what's going to happen if I tell people I'm not okay?
Absolutely. I don't know what you both are doing to my audience tonight, but these comments are blowing through the roof. I'm trying to figure out where to start here. I'm going to stay on the Superman vibe for a second. This comment came in again, which was great. Concerning Superman, you have to be Superman 24/7. And he said yes, because he's both and not either or. I love it. That's good. No one can be Superman 24/7. That will cause instant burnout. Even Superman himself had to be fueled and recharged by the sun. That'll preach later. It's okay to hang the cape up sometimes. And someone else said something similar about hanging up the cape too. Hanging up the cape in private. I think Donald Butler said, for type A personality, yes, I'm Superman in public. And I guess hanging up the case, hanging up the cape in private. Yeah, I think I might have missed one comment too, but wow. So it's okay to be both Clark Kent and Superman. Not, when he was Superman, he had to be on and alert and available to problems and crises and issues, all the time. But it's basically what we're getting at with this dialogue and this question is for men to be able to, even if it's a journey or process, be able to reject the toxic messages of feeling like you have to be, super anything all the time, and be able to be open and vulnerable. Dr. Paradise Watson, he's a psychologist, friend of mine as well. He said, excellent discussion as I prepare to create a safe space for men to be educated, engage, and explore these concepts, and taking action to redefine and decolonize thinking that limits us as men to be the men we can be. Well done, gentlemen.
Yeah. That's Leon, if I can
Yeah,
interject here.
please.
And we also have to remember too that even when Superman had his cape on, there was a thing called kryptonite.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, and we have to remember that even in his strongest point, he came to a place where he was vulnerable and he was weak. You know, and that just showed me, that just gave me a pictorial of even the strongest man gets weak at times. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's just the reality. And like we were talking about the no, when your body tells you that, hey, I can't do this anymore, you got to listen to it. You know, just like Superman, every time he tried to get closer to that kryptonite, he got weaker and weaker.
Wow.
Mhm.
You know, so when we
This-
talk about that no, you know, we don't want to see anybody fall. We don't want to see anybody go through, when we know if we can get to them, we can speak life into them. But there's some days when we need life spoken into us.
Come on.
You know, and I used to be that yes guy. And when I was laying on the bed, sleep, and couldn't get up because I was so tired, I didn't understand that my no's were putting me there. My
mm,
yeses were putting me there because I wasn't getting any rest, you know. And so I tried to be Superman to everybody in every situation. And then when I drove off the road in my car, and it's nobody but the grace of God that kept me from
mm.
crashing my car, he just took his hand and took me off of Route 100 doing 60 miles an hour. And when I woke up, my car was still running, and it was like 8 hours later.
Yeah.
Mm.
But my body took over and said, I'm tired. Since you won't listen, let me go to sleep.
Mhm.
I'll rest myself. You
That's
know,
good.
and so even in your strongest point, there's still weakness there.
Yeah.
These comments, it's okay to say I don't know. I don't have the answer. As a man,
That's,
I'm tired. This is all part of self-care for men.
that's
I'm not feeling it today. I can't do it this time. And with that, the man should not feel guilty for not being everybody's go-to all the time. Wow.
that's
This
that's
is
Mhm. That's
bananas.
good.
Elder Judah Patterson said, you must have a time to recharge or you won't live. Good God. You won't live long enough to continue to be Superman when needed. Y'all do. I don't know what y'all
Woo.
do.
Woo.
Good. This is very good stuff. My brother, he's a fellow therapist as well. He said, just got here. Can you all start over? Paul, this will be on my non-branded YouTube channel as of yet, but it's
Hey,
on,
hey,
it'll be on
Dion.
DMV therapist. Yes, sir.
Dion, don't call him Paul, call him Goat.
Call him.
That's
Yeah,
the
good
goat.
point. Goat.
that's the
That's the
goat
goat.
there.
That is the
That's the
goat.
goat.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Um, that is the goat. He said he needed. I told my clients I needed to rest last week. Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. That
Yeah.
happens. Donald Butler said, I learned that others' emergencies aren't necessarily my
Mm.
emergency.
right.
Mm.
This is awesome. This is awesome. I'm loving the understanding and the thoughts and the comments that are coming from the men about their own self-care, because this is vital.
Mhm.
And again, I definitely want to do a of course shameless plug. If you don't have my best-selling book, you can grab it from Amazon, or you can go to this website right here and get the book. There's an entire chapter on men and self-care. And if you're a man in the workplace, there's a chapter about how to function in the workplace. There's case examples, self-care core 4, an assessment test for you to take, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely check it out. We got some more comments coming in. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Donald Butler says concerning he said I learned that others' emergencies aren't necessarily my emergency.
That's
These
right.
comments, he said this includes family. You are
That's right.
preaching good tonight. This is
Yes.
something. Kenneth Clemens said I set boundaries around my clients and my time, so I'm always Superman when I'm with them. Okay. Okay, I got you. I thought he was gonna say so he's always Superman, and I know him personally, so I was gonna say that's not true. So, but he said he set boundaries around. That makes sense. Yeah, set boundaries.
Yeah.
Martinez Sellers says I am just getting off a week-long personal self-care retreat at my timeshare. You renting out? You renting some space? What's going on? It was amazing. That's great. That is great. That is great. So men, we need to invest in our own self-care, and for us to do it, to be diligent, intentional, and deliberate, in our own self-care. And Clifton, you made a statement earlier about being a therapist and a clinician. In my graduate program, it was a part of the requirement that we had to have a therapist as we were going through our graduate program. So I went through that. I had about 30 sessions done with me to make sure I was where I needed to be mentally and emotionally sound. And a few other times in my life, I had a therapist. And I'm about to, once my virtual book tour and signing is over, I'm going to work to find another one for me. I decided to wait because therapy can be an emotional journey when you start tapping into some issues.
Right.
And I got too much kind of going on right now to I know what therapy can do and the journey that it can. So but that's important. So you mentioned that you're in therapy and you have a therapist. So for so long in our communities especially, it's getting better. And I'm sure Clifton and Martinez and Paul, if he's still on, and other therapists who are on, we're seeing a shift. We're seeing a great shift of Black men in particular coming into therapy, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful, And as they're coming into therapy, we're also taking up the mantle and say, well, hey, I talked to one of my clients today. He's about mid-30s. I said, you have a primary care doctor? He was like, no. So, it's my responsibility, therapist to client, Black male to Black male, to talk to him about aspects of his health overall.
Holistic.
So, I guess in the past, we were kind of thinking about people going to therapy as it being like a weakness of sorts, or problematic. So now we're seeing more men come into therapy for their mental and emotional well-being. Any thoughts about why that is? Why we're seeing a shift in a good way? Because let me put this: therapy is a excellent form of self-care because it is you taking time, effort, and energy to take care of your mental and emotional well-being. Why do you guys think we're starting to see a really strong shift of people going into therapy, particularly men?
I think because they've actually connected with some therapists that they trust.
I love it.
I didn't, me growing up, working in the workforce, I didn't know too many Black therapists.
Okay.
And so for as much as I wanted to go to a white therapist, if he didn't grow up in the hood, if he didn't live the life that I lived, he'll never understand what I'm dealing with. That's my opinion. And then when I actually started talking to you, Pastor Dion, and you were hitting me with things, and I didn't even know you was fishing at the time. You just would share stuff with me, and
Yeah.
then you would pause after my response, and then I was like, he just dug into me, and I didn't even realize you were digging into me with the questions that you was asking, and then you sent me a text message and shared some things with me about my health and
Yeah.
what I should be doing. And so I think because we see people that look like us now,
Absolutely.
we're able to run to them. Even Brother Kenneth, I heard him talk when I first met him. I heard him talk about the healthy eating, Brother Clemens, and I had called him and told him that I wanted to participate.
Yeah.
And but I could only even call him was because I trusted him.
Yeah.
you
True.
know, Even though I didn't start the program yet, you know, but I knew the place where he was coming from. It was a safe place and an honest place for him to say, um, but if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. You can tell me what you want, but if you're not going to really do it, there's no use in saying that you're going to do it if you're not. You got to put action to it. And so I think with a lot of these things now, the talking about Brother Butler with finances, I don't have a problem in going to a Black man that looked like me and saying, "Hey, man, I'm struggling. You know, my credit is bad. Can you help me?"
Mhm.
But that white guy I can't go to. Because he's already not saying that they're bad people. Let me put that in there.
Sure.
But I feel comfortable with going to you. I've met Brother Cliff now for a while, so I can call him
Yeah.
and be able to say, "Hey, man, I'm struggling."
Yeah.
because I know we talked about the safe place, that safe space, but then I also know that's his profession. So he'll be able to dig into me, and show me what I need. So I think that a lot of Black people are actually starting to reach out to get that help that they really need.
Comments. Thank you so much. Comments are blowing me away. Let's see, where do I want to go first? I don't think it's okay. We're not going to get through my list, and that's fine. We'll stop at a point. But this is so. After my book tour, we might need to bring you all both back to do something else later, because I mean, the people, these comments are Jesus. I'm sorry. Another one. Look, I'm gonna try. Look at this. Look at this comment. Therapy is an extension of God. That's phenomenal. I love it.
Come on.
I need to steal that. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Dion.
Go ahead, Cliff.
Third John verse 2.
Say it.
Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper,
right,
and be in health, even as your soul prospers.
That's right. Yep.
Your mind, your thinking, your decision making, your feelings, those are components of your soul.
That's right.
So, man, what makes that comment so powerful, it's that extension is soul work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It really is.
Absolutely. And Dwayne, I saw your comment earlier. I'll come back to you. Lamar Graves says, especially in the church world, true, it used to be deemed demonic or that a man's faith was lacking in God if he went and got therapy. Now, true, that's true. It was in a lot of institutions, and now a lot of senior pastors and bishops and church leaders are more educated to understand the need to do a critical collaboration with people, licensed mental health practitioners in the community. He said, now we see therapy is needed, yes, and that mental, emotional, and physical wellness is vital, outside of the spiritual aspect of deliverance. I love how you broke it down. Outside of the spiritual aspect of deliverance for the soul, therapy is needed for life. Good stuff. Brother Dwayne Newman, I think his comment went up a little bit. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. This is his comment, and if you're still on, we're gonna try to answer it. He said, "I'm learning boundaries, but I gotta say, some folks think I'm being funny. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? I'll let y'all share your godly way of dealing with that. But when you try to set boundaries and people think you're funny, acting funny, being funny, how do you deal with that?"
Well, you want me to go first?
Anybody.
Once you said it, you be consistent with sticking with it. You know what I mean? Because I always tell people, when you're setting boundaries, I never set a boundary for another person.
Right.
I set boundaries for me.
They're for me. That's right.
Now, how that other person is affected, I don't really have control over that. And most of the time, when you get resistance and pushback for the boundaries you set, it's usually because those people had access to you that they're no longer going to have.
Right.
So the pushback is, I ain't asked you to change this. I ain't asked you to put that up. Right. I ain't asked you to say I'm not doing this anymore, or I'm not going to allow this to go on. Mm-hmm. So you may get people thinking you're funny, but I would encourage you to stick to the boundary you set and to remember, I'm doing this for me. I'm not setting a boundary to try to control somebody else's behavior.
Right.
I'm setting a boundary as a part of loving myself. You know what I mean? As a form of self-care to protect myself from certain things that shouldn't be happening. And that's why I set them.
And Dwayne, please comment if you're still on that you heard that or you got that, what he said. As far as, because people, one of the things I share briefly, and I'll stop and talking, but one of the things that I share with a lot of my clients, if you're not used to setting boundaries, and people are not used to you saying no, or I can't, or I don't want to, or I'm not available, whatever you say to people, because I do a lot of boundary work with my clients as well. You're going to go through a little transition period because people are going to treat you funny. They're going to talk about you. They're going to get a little shady, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's part of it. It's part of the change for you, because you're changing. You're starting to stand up for yourself, and you're starting to be assertive, and you're setting intentional, and Dwayne said he got it good. You're starting to set intentional, deliberate boundaries for yourself, or lines that will not be crossed. So that's good. Boundaries will keep you from self-destruction as well. Good,
And
Lamar.
Dion, if I can add this,
sure.
The feelings that you may experience with people laughing at the boundaries you set or pushing back, those feelings you have are valid.
That's right.
I would encourage you to process them in some way, maybe journaling, maybe talking to a trusted friend, maybe talking to a therapist or a counselor about it, or a pastor, just somebody you feel that you can go to,
right,
to be genuine and honest about, I'm experiencing this. Because, we don't want to take what you may be feeling and say, man, whatever, just get over it. No, the feelings are valid. So you want to process those as well.
I agree 100%. Another comment. Judah Patterson said, we must not allow people to use us up as a paper towel. Facts, sir. They will, God, y'all, they will use you up and go to the next victim. Jeez. Just like we use paper towels and throw them away.
Right.
Kenneth Clemens commented, said, let God deal with them who think you're funny. It's a lesson you must learn in that process.
That's right.
Wow. This is great. This is phenomenal for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of great information, Dwayne. So wow, this is and has been, very powerful and beneficial. Again, for those of you, and we'll say this again at the at the wrap up, but for those of you that have not, what we're doing is exploring some of the issues and dynamics with men and self-care, and some of the things in my bestseller, Non-Negotiable Self-Care. And again, there is a particular chapter in there for men that you want to. Let's do that. Let's do that in unison. Come on, let's do that all together. Let's hold about.
You all got. You didn't lost me.
Sorry, so good. And thank you. Oh, Donald Butler, thank you. Said there's so many layers. There's so many layers to this. It's a process, and we can take better steps to self-care through patience and assistance from discussions like this. Thank you. Very true. Very true. In the men's chapter, what I will say, we didn't get to every aspect of everything tonight, but in the men's chapter in the book, there are tools and tips for men, particular to invest in their own self-care. So we talk about physical activity, we talk about grooming, we talk about the use of positive affirmations, basically how you talk to yourself, as a man, and we talk about things like where is it? We talk about things like men's sexual health as well. And there's some particular cutting edge things that men can do, particularly men as men age, and helping to advance their sexual health. It's called BioT, and it's in the book. We won't delve into it tonight, but it's in the book and you can look it up, etc. But I see a number of people got their copies. Good. FYI, for everyone listening, I'm having a book signing, a live book signing, April 9th from 1 to 3. You do have to register. It is on my personal Facebook page as well. So you have to register through Eventbrite, and seating is limited. We might be able to expand it, but we're going to see what happens after the first 50. If there's more than 50, then we'll see how that goes. But there is a book signing. So I will be signing all books, people who have purchased books already, as well as people who want to purchase books for your friends, family, coworkers, loved ones. The Bible tells us to be a blessing to other people. So Tia Gaskew Says she learned so much. Thanks for the invite. You're welcome. Lamar Graves, yes, sir. The book is on Amazon. Yes, go get your copy. It's on Amazon right now. The paper copy is selling for, oh, thank you, Kenneth Clemens. My God, he posted the link. I love it. You gotta love people. This is great. This is book. This is great. Yes, the book is on Amazon. I think this was a amazing discussion and dialogue with our listening audience. I certainly shared the broadcast through DM to a number of people, and there's still over 25 people online looking and listening. This will be stored on my YouTube page, DMV Therapist. Please, everybody on, if you have not connected with me, and then I'm going to give my guest a opportunity to say some things. If you have not connected with me, please, you can connect with me here. I'm on IG at _DMV Therapist, _DMV Therapist. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, DMV Therapist, and share the channel with other people. You'll be able to watch this, listen to it, go back to it, share with other people. You'll be able to subscribe. We're going through various aspects of the book every other Thursday night with different guests. So in 2 weeks, which I believe is the 31st, I'll be back on again with two other guests, and we'll be dealing with another aspect of the book. Kevin Franklin said, "Great stuff from what I heard coming in late. Definitely send me the invite for the next time around." Yes, sir. And make sure you go buy the book if you have not already from Amazon, since I know you deal with a lot of stuff in reference to men. There's a lot of great stuff about self-care in the book, a lot of stuff about self-care for men in general, and just everybody. You can get it from Amazon, as well as that's the link to my website where the book is. Now, I want to thank Dr. Odell Hall and Clifton Bright for joining us tonight. This has been phenomenal. I'm glad this type of discussion is needed for men to realize that their own self-care is important and vital, and various ways for men to take care of themselves, from physical activity to going to your doctor's appointments, to grooming, to therapy, to it's okay to get a massage, get a manicure, get a pedicure. Get a, what did he call it? A salt. Himalayan salt. I'm on it. Trust me, I'm on it. I'm on it. I've never had that one, but I got watch. So, take care of yourself, brothers. Take care of yourself. To Dr. Hall and Brother Clifton. Dr. Hall, I'll start with. I'm going to have you both share any final thoughts and anything you want to share with the listening audience, as far as any final thoughts and anything you want to share with the listening audience as far as how to reach you or connect with you.
Yes, I'll be honored. There's only one point I really want to make with you tonight, and that is you've got to take care of yourself. You're not doing yourself any good or anybody else if you don't take care of number one, which is you. Get to that therapist if you need to share and you feel like you can't share with anybody else. These two gentlemen that are on this line that I'm looking at right now are two that you can connect with and get what you need. When it comes to family, family will pull and tug on you until you're empty. And you have to put those boundaries up, as Brother Dwayne said, so that you can fight for another day. But if you don't put those boundaries up, you'll never get the rest that you need. And I pray you're not the one that crashes when you fall asleep behind the wheel. That could have been my story. But that'll never happen again, because I won't ever let myself get to that place when my body tells me I'm tired. So listen to your body. It's never going to lead you wrong. Listen to it and allow yourself to heal. Allow yourself to get the things that you need to eat right, to exercise, and to do the things that you need to do to live a healthy life. You can reach me at 443-255-4881. I'm on Facebook as Dr. Rodell Hall, or you can reach me by email at rlhall211@gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Brother Clifton.
Yes, sir. Hey, Dion, it was an honor and a privilege, sir. The book is awesome, but I didn't expect anything less from an awesome man of God, awesome clinician. You know, I'm thankful to call you two brothers a part of my tribe.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm thankful for the connection. The only thing I have to add is, you know, men, I celebrate you, the men that are on here. I celebrate you for helping shift the narrative that it is not okay to take care of ourselves. That it's not okay for us to engage in self-care. I'm excited in seeing you guys do your part in shifting the narrative for our sons, our grandsons.
That's right.
For other men we model for. Because that's one of the greatest tools of teaching is what we model. You know, my pastor always talks about more is caught than taught. You know, so, you know, what gets modeled in front of you has this profound effect. And it's great to see these different models, you know, shift what we've been seeing as far as men engaging in self-care, men engaging in therapy, men engaging in being okay with saying I'm not okay. And I need support. I need help. I don't have to be Superman because I should be Spider-Man anyway.
Okay. All right.
So if you're looking to reach me, I'm on Instagram under Clifton_Bright_LCPC. You can also catch me on Facebook. I'm under Clifton Bright Jr., also under Bright House Counseling and Coaching LLC. And if you're inquiring about services, you can email me. That's usually one of the best ways to reach me. CliftonBrightJr@gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you, brothers, again for this important, timely needed dialogue and discussion. You know, men and self-care. And again, in closing, for everyone that has tuned in, you can purchase the book, Non-Negotiable Self-Care, from Amazon, as well as my website. Thank you, brothers. DJB Therapeutic Solutions / book. And we are having a live book signing again on Saturday, April 9th from 1 to 3. Registration on Eventbrite is open. You can find that on my Facebook page. Tonight it is public. Tomorrow it will be private. So just wanted to put that plug in. Thank you all for tuning in. And we thank God again for our guests and for everyone that tuned in. We'll be back on the 31st, discussing another aspect of the book with two other guests on the 31st of this month, Thursday the 31st at 7:30, about self-care and non-negotiable self-care at that. So everyone have a good night.